3 mistakes that you're most likely making. And if you're not making now, you have in the past. We're going to talk about that. It's me again, Ron Williams, at Ron Williams Fitness Channel, Natural Mr. World, Natural Bodybuilder of the Decade, also Natural Mr. Olympia, and Natural Mr. Universe. I want to talk to you today about 3 mistakes and these are actually safety factors. 3 things that I try to stay away from. One is ballistic movements. Another is forced reps. Now think about that, forced reps, and I'm going to explain all 3 of them. And the third one is negatives. Now, the reason why these are dangerous and how they're used in training, and some people, they actually have the thought process that these can be used to help them with gains. And some of them can be used to help you gain, but the repercussions are not worth it. For example, a negative. We're going to start with the negatives. A negative repetition is when you just do you have a positive part of the exercise, for example, a bench press, where you're contracting. And the negative part of the exercise is when you're allowing the weight to come down to touch your chest. Now, you are more than twice as strong negatively than you are positively. So after you've done all the positive reps, somebody will take the weight and they'll pull it off of your chest, and then you lower it slow. They'll take it off of your chest, and then you lower it slow. You can't positively push it any longer, but you can lower it very slowly. The problem with that is the muscle is so fatigued that you can't do a positive repetition. So that muscle is fatigued, it's tired, it's vulnerable to damage. If that muscle is ever going to tear, it's in its most vulnerable state right there. So we stay away from negatives for that reason. Will they help you grow? Will they tear the muscle down more? Absolutely. It may tear the muscle down and off if you're not careful. So you want to be real careful not to do the negatives. Use the positive phase and control it all the way through. Many times they say on the positive phase a 2 count, on the negative phase a 4 count, but the important thing is that that repetition is completely controlled and you've put the mind in the muscle and you're working that muscle. So negatives, one you don't want to do. The next one we talked about, which we mentioned first, is ballistics. Now, ballistic movements are movements that are just random, and you're just pushing the weight. You're not concentrating, putting the mind in the muscle, but you're pushing the weight and you're jerking and you're going back and forth. And oftentimes, what we do is we set a rhythm with ballistic movements. Say, for instance, we're doing laterals. We've got the lateral raises, we're coming up, and then we're on our way down. A lot of people, when they go up to the top, they'll float through it and they'll lunge their head forward and they'll come back. They'll bend their knees and you'll see this movement. If they're doing that, the most important part of the repetition is right at the top where you peak and you float through that. But it's a jerk on that joint, and when it goes up, wham, the weight grabs all of a sudden, and that ballistic movement can actually damage the muscle. So you want to move away from the ballistics. It's those reps that are not controlled and you're just recklessly pushing the weight. The only thing you have a desire to do is get the weight up. That's not important. Focus the mind into the muscle and squeeze it all the way up, bring it all the way down, squeeze it all the way up, and control it all the way through. Now, we've talked about negatives. We've also talked about the ballistics. Now, the third one is forced reps. Now, forced reps also, it's a dangerous thing. And the most important thing here is safety. Because if you can keep the body healthy, then you can continue to work hard for a long period of time. But once you damage the body, you've got to try to work around the injury. Nobody likes working around injuries. It takes the enjoyment out of working out, and you don't know if you're damaging that muscle more in anything you do, and it's just not worth it. So you want to be careful with the forced reps, and this is what a forced rep is. The weight is too heavy. I'm pushing, it's too heavy, it's too heavy. So I'm having someone else hold the weight, and they're pulling the weight for me, and I'm trying to force the repetition. I don't have the ability to push it myself. So I'm forcing that repetition. I've done as many as I can. Now here we go. The muscle is fatigued. Again, when the muscle gets fatigued, it's more vulnerable to injury. And that's what you're actually doing. When you work that muscle, you micro tear it, and then it repairs. But then instead of a micro tear, you actually start to develop major tears where you pull that muscle, and it can't be used now. It's not going to recover the way it would if it had a micro tear. You've actually damaged it now, and you've got some problems. It's got to heal, and it's going to take much longer for that to take place. So stay away from the forced reps. 3 things you're going to do. These are 3 don'ts: forced reps, ballistic movements, and negatives. Stay away from it. Control the motion, stay within that arc formation, and work the body and make it grow. Make it grow. Until next time, God bless you. Make sure you subscribe and get all your friends to subscribe, and let's build this channel together. See you next time.